Well, while we're waiting for our other guests that want to call in,
Yes.
I would hope they call in. Jason, tell us a little bit about why you're running and what's going on.
Well, a lot of reason I'm running is because I guess I have a passion for it, probably more now than ever. The existing judge that's on the bench, Judge Ochoa, has been on the bench now for 4 years. Prior to him taking the bench, he did a little bit of everything, and this is public knowledge. It's on his different web pages and things. He was doing workman's comp, personal injury, immigration, and kind of dabbled into family law, and that's fine and dandy for some people, but family law, at least in this town, you can't dabble in it. You either love it or you don't do it.
I can attest to that, and this is no reflection on Jason here or Miss Please. I'm just going to be straightforward and honest. I think he's very incompetent in some aspects. I'm just going to blatantly just say it. Yes, go ahead, please.
And he's not the only one that some people feel that way. Some other judges basically will say, how do I calculate child support? Did you file anything? What are we here for? So these are all things that I think litigants look at the people on the bench and say, this person's supposed to be intelligent. They're supposed to be smart. They were elected by the people of Clark County. If they can't do their job, or perhaps worse, they're never there doing their job. Right. Some judges have been known to miss 20 days, 50 days, or north of that. And then, it costs the government more money because then you have to have what's called a senior judge to fill in for that judge. And then,
well, also too, though, let me cut you short. Sure. And I think Ms. Please can contest this as well too. Some of the aspects, as long as we have that judge in who's not really a part of that particular case, he's trying to fill in, trying to put in the missing pieces. It hurts the litigants and everybody involved. Yes. Do you agree, though, Jason?
Most definitely, because it requires either an appeal if it's like a trial, because they don't know what's led up to that point, or what's called a motion for reconsideration, which is kind of like an appeal within a case pending a final order. All it does is cost clients more money, more hassle, more stress. And then, you're better off being dark, not even have a court that day, wait till the original judge is back. But sometimes judges, they get sick and you don't know until, of course, day of. But be that as it may, I just plan to be one of the hardest working judges on the bench if elected in November.
I'm glad. And tell everyone what department you're running for again?
Department S for STOEFEL is kind of where I'm going with that.
What do you
like that? It's catchy, isn't it? And also for the record, I did steal that catchphrase from Judge Pomerantz because she's running in Department P. P for Pomerantz was her catchphrase in 2008 when I saw her a couple days ago. And she goes, "You stole my catchphrase." I go, "I figured you'd have a problem with it." And she goes, "That's all good. It worked for me in 2008." I'm like, "Well, game on. That's what I'm doing." So, but it's because who do you know for running for judges? You only know what the RJ tells you.
Yeah, right.
And so when you look in the ballot, it says Vincent Ochoa, Jason STOEFEL, Department S for STOEFEL. Let's go with that.
Well, go ahead, Ms. Please.
Sorry. I have a question, which you and I spoke before.
Sure.
A lot of people are put in a position, and sometimes you're in position because of who you know, not what you know.
Correct.
You want people to elect you, but what do you bring to the table for our listeners to even consider you? I know people are probably irritated with Ochoa.
Right.
And
other judges, too.
And other judges.
Well, let's be fair. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But,
but what do you bring for them to even consider you? Because, just like presidency, they'll re-vote for another, the same president that was terrible just because.
Right, most definitely. On my webpage, it's STOEFEL for Judge, FOR judge.com. I have what I call a CARE campaign. And what I did, one morning, I woke up at 2 a.m. with one of those Eureka, I gotcha moments. Yes. And I'm like, you know what, give me a pen. So I'm looking, going out in my hall, trying to find a pen. And I'm writing down, I put CARE, okay, CARE, Jason cares. C, consistency. Some judges will not budge at all. They'll say, if this particular attorney's in there, they get whatever they want.
Yes.
Or if I'm a pro-dad or pro-mom, a pro-joint custody judge. Yeah. You have to be consistent, and consistency is following the law. It's not favorites. So some judges, I've had cases that ended up on Judge Judy, and my client got assaulted, and it was a guy, and the judge wouldn't change custody. He's like, isolated incident. I go, well, hell, it's happened another time. She got arrested, and she sued him for false imprisonment, and ended up on Judge Judy. Judge goes, well, joint custody still works, and some judges just don't budge from that, which is really
why do you think that?
Well,
okay, but here's the thing that I know Ms. Please has children, and I have children. And I'm not speaking on her behalf, but on my behalf, I've noticed, though, why is it that some of these judges are really not – here's what I'm trying to say. They say family court is like being a joker. You don't know what card is going to get placed. It could be a wild card at any given time. And why is it that they don't follow the law like it is? It's just like some people, Lori said, they will not practice family law because it doesn't have any consistencies or rhyme or reasons or anything that goes on, even though if the law is there. So.
Right. Very good point. And part of the consistency is following the law what it is. But some, like, for example, some of the brand new attorneys that I deal with, and even some of the attorneys that kind of dabble or just take a case every so often, when they go in and it's a custody case or a custody divorce, they'll say, well, in Nevada, starting point is joint physical custody. That is not a true statement at all.
No,
it
it's
is not. Some judges, it's their policy. That's a terrible policy. The standard in Nevada is a minority position, which is best interest of the child. That's the standard.
Right.
Years ago, we had what was called that tender years doctrine. Kids are better off with their mom.
Yeah,
exactly. So some states have the joint custody thing. Some of the judges, that is their policy. That is their starting point. Some judges, they don't know how to count days. And as silly as that sounds, to have joint physical custody, you have to have 146 days of contact with your child. I've had cases where the one parent had perhaps 20 hours spread out over 3 days. And a judge says, okay, 3 out of 7, boom, that's about half the time, boom, that's joint custody. I said, yeah, but that's one overnight. The other parent sees the child every single day.
Right.
And then the judge says, oh, too bad, joint custody. And then that was the knife in the back in one case I had, and I appealed it. The twist was my lady was making double the income. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm going to tell you now?
She has to pay.
She's got to pay child support, $500. And I'm looking at the judge saying, she's got 95% of the time, and now she's got to pay child support. And the judge goes, well, that's the law. Yeah. So judges can't even agree how to count days, how to count time. And it's the Rivero case, Rivero versus Rivero from 2009. It just made it clear that you're supposed to not, count waking hours, sleeping hours, quality hours, things like that. But come on, really?
Well, Wright versus Osborne is something like that as well, too.
For the child support calculation,
yeah.
right? So in this case, it was horrible. The case eventually settled before it went to oral argument that they agreed just no child support because my lady was going in to say I want a modification on child support because the dad is now working from a worse job to now a better job, so I want more child support. He countersued her for joint custody. Well, it was just wrong. It's just I took that case and it made me sick. I'm like, there's got to be a better system in Nevada than this.
Well, Nevada is a joke to me, though.
I don't think it's just Nevada, only because when I had told you my situation, we, the attorneys, of course, went in and they were like joint custody.
Right.
And then they're like, well, you can come back in 6 months.
Well, that's
what's the point in coming back in 6 months if nothing's changed? And I come back in a year and they're like, well, he wants to try again. Next thing you know, the kids are turning 18 and it's like,
well, it takes too long because I'm going through something similar. But see, here's the thing. I remember we spoke on the phone. I'm not trying to be against any particular judges per se. I am all about fairness. I'm about fairness.
Right. And you need to.
I don't like Bill Henderson because some of the things that he does. I've been in front of a lot of different judges here in this city, and it's sad that I have. But the court's being is I have been fighting for custody for my kids, and I fought for custody for my oldest kid, and I've got full custody of him. But the issue that really annoys me about Vincent Ochoa, I'll be very honest with you, and I've heard it from other things. And like I say, it's no reflection on you or Miss Please here. I think he's extremely lazy, and he lets people dictate to him on how certain things are done. And I've asked him before, have you read the case file? And he says, yes, I have. And come to find out some of the major details, he doesn't read it at all. He relies on his law clerk or whatever to put some highlight on something, whatever the law clerk might want. That's laziness to me, sir.
Right.
And we did talk about that.
He said that in what's called bench bar meetings, which is a bench as far as judges, basically like a dozen or so judges, and the bar is members of the legal community. And he's basically said, I rely heavily on my law clerk and things. And that might be great, but what happens if the law clerk didn't read the most important part?
Yes.
Because if you're summarizing a summary, that's the problem. My pledge is to read every word that comes across my desk, and I'll determine what's relevant. Yeah, I'll look at the Cliff Note cheat sheet from the law clerk, but I'm going to read everything because maybe they dropped the ball. Maybe they got to fire my law clerk because they're not doing their job. And I don't want to mess up a case or screw anything up because someone didn't do the job and I'm just winging it on a one-page summary.
I have a question for you, for our listeners. Can you define the difference between a lawyer and a law clerk? Because my question in that statement you just made is, you're a law clerk and you studied the legal requirements,
right?
But you're not a lawyer to pass the bar and to be considered. What's the difference, and what makes you qualified to be a law clerk and to give me information?
Got it. Part of that statement's true, part of it's false. A law clerk is someone that's been through college, been through law school, and either is awaiting to take the bar, has taken the bar, or has passed the bar. So some of the law clerks are attorneys. They can't practice in private practice, so they're basically doing the first year or so as an attorney, but they're not acting like an attorney. They're the judge's main helper, the judge's assistant, and then they usually go into private practice. So, but law clerks are supposed to know what they're doing. Most of them them do, but some of them, maybe they can't pass the bar. I've known some law clerks that have taken the bar 7, 8 times. Maybe there's a reason they can't pass it, whatever the case is. But if they're deciding your children's future and your fate,
yes,
do you want that to have happen?
No.
And a judge rubber stamping it.
I hope that you don't do that. But here's the funniest thing. I'm going to be honest with you. One of the law clerks messed up my case so bad, they lost my paperwork and got mad at me, and Judge Bill Henderson reprimanded me because I got upset because they lost the paperwork. Hold on. When I called them up one time and said, where's my paperwork? You didn't drop it off. I didn't do anything. You want to hear the funniest thing? It got mailed back to me in the mail.
Oh, lovely. Like you need a copy of your own document you sent to the court.
No, I dropped it off. Dropped, you put it in the box. You know, as you go upstairs, put it in the box. I put it there, and they made me like an idiot. And then when he got to court, he basically chastised me in a way where it penalized my children. Not so much penalized me. It hurt my children on his action. And Vince Ochoa kind of fed off of that aspect as well, too. That's why I don't think they look at the merits of the case. And that's why I need to have some basic new judges in there to really think about Vegas. Vegas grew so much, they didn't have enough family judges to understand the complications of what family really means in Vegas. Do you agree on that, Jay?
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and especially, I know you talked about a little bit last week, and mainly the month of January, the whole Stephen Jones thing.
Right.
How that's been such a black eye in the legal community. I think in November, even also in June, I'm also not on the primary for the ballot. I go right to the general election in November.
Right.
I think a lot of voters are going to look at, especially some of the 3 judge races where there's 1 judge and 2 challengers. Some of those judges might be running to the hills. They might be worried that they might not even make the primary.
I hope so.
And I think the voters this year are going to be anti-incumbent, because I know some people are going to vote for me for the merits and everything. Some of them are going to say, I'll vote for Mickey Mouse. If it's anyone but,
thank you,
I'm voting for Mickey Mouse. Well, or Donald Duck is good too.
But if they don't do that, though, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. Please don't take it the wrong way.
That's right.
I think you should at least know who you're voting for, because that's why a lot of these judges are very incompetent to get in there, because someone's like, oh, that name sounds, Ochoa? But see, like, I'm going to be running again. I haven't decided if I want to run for Senate or Assemblyman. I'm going to do it. And I want my background to kind of be a play. Miss Please says I shouldn't. But the thing about it is, if I win or don't win, is that the thing, I want to be a real person.
Right.
You know, I don't want to be someone who's weighing in on people's livelihood, because I think I might know what I'm talking about if I really haven't experienced it. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
You could be a family court judge, but do you really know the dynamics of a black family, Indian family, Ethiopian family? Do
you have children, Counselor?
I don't have children. I don't.
Okay.
What I do with Amanda, my wife, we run the family law practice that we have. It's Robert JSTOEFEL Family Law Group. So it's one of those things that we can bounce ideas off each other. And even though she's got 9 years experience, I've got 10. That's 19 between the 2 of us. So we've had about everything. I've had a lot of cultures. I've had Indian Child Welfare Acts where.
So you understand what I'm saying?
I do. You know, having children adopted out of an Indian or Native American family.
Right.
You know, those terms are kind of used loosey goosey. But when you think of family court, you think of just like divorce and custody. It's name changes, guardianship, child support, spouse support, contempt, relocation from children from one state to the other, termination of parental rights, adoptions. I mean, I've had name changes when there was a gender change. You know, Jack became a Jill. You know,
can you share with our, I'm sorry, can you share with our listeners why you're not going to be on the primary ballot? You'll just be on the ballot that's in November.
Got it. Because there's only 2 people in that department that are running. It's the existing judge and just myself challenging Judge Ochoa. It's already whittled down to 2. Other departments, there's 6, 7, sometimes up. I think Department B, I think there's 8 people. So it's going to go from 8 to 2 after the June primary election. And then it goes into November. They're all nonpartisan races. You know, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. Nonpartisan, but it's going to get whittled down to 2 in every department. Some judges are running unopposed. I know Judge Henderson is running unopposed.
That upset me on that one, because they didn't get it out soon enough, and he's unopposed. So it means he's going to be in there for another 6 years. Is it?
You bet, 6 years.
So
well, like it or not,
See what I'm saying?
Why is it that you're for Department S? There's only 2, you and the
Judge
current
Ochoa, correct?
Judge, but the other departments have multiple runners. Why is that so? Is there something?
I think a lot of people are going for easier targets. When they saw my signs up around town before the election season even started, because the candidacy period was January 6th, I had my signs up. I was downtown Las Vegas at about 7 o'clock in the morning on January 1st. That is the best time to visit Las Vegas. I'm downtown putting up signs up. All the people that are probably sleeping off, but you know what? I was out there doing my thing. So I did that for a reason, to kind of scare away people, to say, if you want to challenge challenge me, game on. I'm going to fight tooth and nail for this thing. But I think a lot of people are going for some of the weaker judges and easier targets. When people were looking January 6th, what department to declare their candidacy in, they saw my name, they saw Judge Ochoa's name, they probably said, there's easier targets. That's why some of them, like when Judge Jones, Department C, and of course he's not running, he withdrew his candidacy. That's an open seat. Judge O'Malley in Department B, she's retiring, so that's an open seat. So that's why it attracts a lot of people when there's no existing judge anymore in that department, after this year.
Are they all family court, all departments, or is just Department S family court?
All the letter departments are family court, which is A through T. Because there's 20 of those folks. There's 32 other judges that are up for re-election that are civil and criminal judges. Okay. Not all those have challengers, and I forget the number. It's something like, of all 52 district court judges, civil, criminal, and family in Clark County, I think the number is like 30. There's like 20 or so that are unopposed, whatever it is. And some municipal court judges are.
So is Department S for a certain geographic location?
Excellent question. Nope, it's Clark County seat. It's randomly assigned. So S is the same thing as R, P, Q. All of them are the same. When you file a case in family court, you just randomly get picked. So it's not a ward. It's not a Henderson or a North Las Vegas thing. It's just Clark County Family Court Department S. And
that's good for our voters to know, because if they think that S is for
Henderson,
I'm going to vote for him because Henderson, and find out it's not Henderson.
Well, will you please stay with us through the duration of the show?
Absolutely.